I'm happy that I have the chance to go back to that. Even Kano is saying that he was able to employ 5,000 people. I hope I got that right.
Not employ, to empower them.
To empower.
Give them skill.
And I'm saying 5,000 is too little in a state that's supposed to be one of the largest.
5,000 every year.
Every year. It's very small. I am insisting that I'll be able to create 200,000 jobs immediately. If I can do it with one man, then I can do it with the others. We make it look like there is magic, or that there is something wrong here, that we cannot do what is being done elsewhere. When you talk about enabling environment, for example, we don't have a credit system here. It makes it difficult for anybody to function. At my level in Nigeria, I can't walk into any bank today and come out with a 50,000 naira loan. Whereas elsewhere, I can get an overdraft from my card of 3,000 pounds. So we must begin to do the right thing. The government in Nigeria is a bit lazy about doing something concrete.
What would you do that's concrete?
So one of the things we need to do, as I said, is that we must be able to empower our youth in the direction that you create that environment. Credit is very important in every society. I know of smaller countries in West Africa where once you have a job and your employers can give you guarantees, you will get a car loan. You don't have to pay 2-3 years rent in advance because you are not going to collect your salaries in advance. In Nigeria, in fact, it's one of the things that I always tell him, that when you talk about corruption in Nigeria, part of it is that we're all under pressure.
The video question was actually specifically about how you would help young people, what you would do about the inflation of the naira and how you would help them to trade with other foreign countries. So, Governor Shekara,
thank you very much. I think there's no way you can talk about improving the economy and affecting the value of the naira, whether low or high, without talking about the productive sector. We must be a community that is productive, and when you're talking of the productive sector, that is talking about the industrialization I've mentioned, talking about the self-employment and the self-dependence. These are the areas that will improve the economy. It's not just arbitrarily fixing the value of the naira. The value of the naira will be realized through what is the level of our production and what is the level of our consumption. If we all depend on consuming, bringing in whatever we need from outside the country, naturally the question of the value of our money will keep getting devalued because the exchange rate depending on everything coming in. But if you encourage people to be productive, not depending on whatever we bring in, and this is where I said earlier on, we're going to create an environment whereby the atmosphere will be good enough, relaxing some of the areas that will reduce cost of doing business, like the empowerment I've mentioned. 5,000 is quite a big number in a year. Don't forget, it's not just picking them on the street and empowering them. You need to put them into the mill of acquiring the skill. Some of these skills will take 3 months, some will take 4 months, some will take 5 months for them to really get to the point of being self-reliant.
Would you actively discourage importation then?
Pardon?
Would you actively discourage?
Oh, certainly, certainly. We, as much as possible, discourage importation of those things that we really do not need. Things that we can manage with what we have inwards, we'll manage with it.
Would discouraging also extend to banning?
Would
discouraging extend to banning? Would you ban?
Extend to what?
To banning. Would you ban the importation of certain things?
Of course, when you're talking of discouraging, it depends on what laws you create. Some of them is through enlightening the people to patronize locally produced materials. Some of it you have to legislate. Some of them are mere government regulations and control. Some of them are agreement with the various manufacturing industries. So it's not just the banning as a one single thing. There are a lot of measures that you need to take to ensure that you control the level of consumption and interest of Nigerians on foreign materials.
Thank you, Malam Ribadu.
Yes, I think the question is about the value of our naira. The value of naira is tied to our own reserve. usually, you know, if you see the strength of your own currency, it's directly has a relation with how much you have in your own reserve. We must make sure that we have a good reserve for us to be able to maintain the value of our currency. How do you do that? You must work on the fiscal responsibility and discipline of your expenditure. You must operate a budget that is not going to be continuously on the deficit level. You must find a way also of having a central bank that will be alive to its own responsibility. Monetary control and discipline is the responsibility of the central bank. You must have a strong regulatory authority and administration over the finance sector. Then, of course, you have to, whatever you can do to change the economy that is almost 100% consumer economy to a productive one. Today, in our country, sadly, we consume everything. We hardly produce anything ourselves for us to sell, for us to make money. But the value of Naira is tied to your own reserve, how much you have as a country. I was part of an economic management team that worked and really got some money for the country. At the time when we left office, we had over $25 billion in our own reserve. And that is the money that kept this Naira at a low and balance for about 2 years. Now they have finished the money. They have completely, and
Thank you.
You will see what is going to be the effect and impact.
I'm going to have to cut you short. Thank you, Madam Ribadu. We will take a break, and when we come back, Ebuka will be talking to the audience.
Live to the Shehu Musa Yaradua Conference Center at the What About Us presidential debate. Now we're getting a lot of questions and comments online thanks to Google moderator. And I'd like to take a few of these ones which are directed at candidates, unfortunately, who are not here, but I find them very interesting. Now the very first one from Eyitemi Bego to General Buhari says, what are your thoughts on the growth rates of the Nigerian economy over the past 10 years? And what policies will you pursue to achieve growth in non-oil sectors? And the second one from Babatunde Ademuyua from Lagos to Good Luck Jonathan, the President. How do you plan to sustain the new federal university for every state policy? So far you've established 6. We would like to know the wisdom behind the establishment of these new universities, despite the fact that existing ones lack basic facilities, are underfunded, lack quality staff, and are perpetually on strike. Unfortunately, I don't know how we're going to get the answer to that. Well, we're going to be taking questions from the audience. The very first one from Victor, I believe. Where's Victor, please? Thank you very much, Victor.
My name is Victor Kalu, and I represent Joshuaville. And in the last couple of months, we've heard you candidates make a lot of promises during your campaigns. Now, if you had a chance to pick only one promise, what would it be and why? And also, what specific plans do you have to achieving that particular target?
Basically, he's asking, if you had to pick just one issue to focus on, what would that issue be? And how do you plan to achieve it? Mr. Checker, please.
Well, thank you very much. I think if I will have to be pinned down to pick one issue that will be central to all other things, I would say it is exemplary conduct of the leadership. Because by the time you get the leadership to be upright, you get the leadership to live above board, the leadership to be very exemplary in every respect, because that is the key. No matter what you do in implementing any program, in running any government, so long as the head is not right, no matter the people you bring, the beauty of your program, leadership is the main thing. 80% of our problem, or even 90% of our problem, not only in government in Nigeria, in every organization, in every society, if you get it wrong in leadership, you are finished. So I think if there is one thing that I will want to concentrate on is to ensure exemplary conduct in leadership, because this brings in confidence in governance. And this is exactly what we have succeeded in doing in Kano. We've been able to show It didn't begin with my time as a governor. If you look at the antecedents, if you look at the past records, what have the lifestyle of the leadership been? It's not just enough to tell people to be upright. You have to be upright yourself. And this is one thing that I think will be key to success in all our act of governance.
Very much.
Yes, since it's already spoken about leadership, which I believe is the basis of everything, I'll move to something else, and that's education. Education is very, very key. In every society, you will never know your rights if you are not properly educated. Some of the things that we allow to happen in Nigeria today, if we had good education, and I'm sure we would have been able to tackle them effectively. I would definitely like to deal with the issue of education, making sure that our kids can have the kind of values. As I was growing up, I remember reading about leaders. The politicians I knew at that time. If you go to Kenya, you heard of Jomo Kenyatta. If you went to Zambia, you heard of Kenneth Kaunda. If you came to Nigeria, you had political leaders who were grounded in education and were ready to fund education, and they were able to achieve a lot. But today, you have people, you don't have to go to school as such. If you like, you can forge certificates, and then later, people will just complain for the fun of it. I think our education is what has created a lot of problems for us, and we must do something urgently about it, but because there are just too many ignorant people who don't know what to do. People have given up hope on themselves, on their country, on their leaders. We just must do something.
Madam Reporter, please.
My own is unemployment. I will address the problem of unemployment. And through that, I will change a lot of things, the economy. Through addressing the problem of unemployment, I'll get electricity for Nigeria. I'll get more teachers for our schools. I'll grow the private economy, the private sector. Inject money, improve the environment, get foreign direct investment to come in, and through that you create jobs. If I'm going to address, like I told you, construction, houses, roads, I'm creating employment. Take employment, address it, indirectly you are addressing all the problems confronting us as people. That is an immediate, I believe, step that can change lives of Nigerians. It's vague to talk about leadership. It's something that you cannot really see. There is no immediate benefit that you can take out of it. Young people in this country want jobs. They want to be given opportunity for them to participate in the economy of our country and the growth of our country. Give them jobs, and you see the magic it will take. Education will take you 20 years, Dele, for you to see any result. Through employment, you can change education, because you can get teachers, you can train younger people, and through that, you are solving the problem of education itself. Education is the key. I mean, employment is the main thing.
You see that?
Very quick follow-up.
No, if I...
Madam Ribadu, just a quick follow-up. It seems to me also that all these ideas are really nice, but they also sound quite vague. So I'd like you to give one specific example, for example, of how when you say you would create jobs, and when you say you would do that by bringing in companies, how exactly, what would you do? What would you do to get these companies to come in?